I do want to get back to celebrating the Miami Hurricane relevance that hasn't had this spirit here since the beginning of 2000. It's been 20 years since football has really mattered in this town because people were playing for championships. It was the Hurricanes who were playing for championships. They've been, when you talk about the history of this town, they are the only minor league thing that has ever broken through to make allegiances that feel really strong with fan bases. The University of Miami, can be argued, is the third biggest program we have had here. It's, fourth now that the Panthers are doing what they're presently doing. But for many years, the University of Miami was a symbol of pride down here to South Florida. And they have obviously gotten back, right? Everyone can now say the U is back as a question has been asked for 20 years. It can be now said in the affirmative, obviously they can beat anybody. They just dragged the defending champions. We haven't seen anybody do that to them in 2 years. Like, knocked them down and made them chase the entire game as a 9-point dog.
We've done this song and dance every 2-3 years. The Canes will get off to a hot start. The quarterback will get off to a hot start. The U is back, and inevitably they're never back. They're back now, right? This is it. They're back. You win 2 playoff games in 1 year. You're a win away from being a win away. And there's no reason that this can't be the standard every year now. Why can't this be what they do every year now with the way the game is, NIL?
They are favored to win this game against Mississippi. Now, Mississippi and Georgia saved these playoff games because they've been terrible. The bowl games haven't been terrible, like the seize your property, seize your wages bowl, like that.
You know about that Cheez-It Bowl?
I don't know about that.
Tony the Tiger Bowl, Dan?
Which one is the seize your property, seize your assets, garner your wages bowl? No?
Guaranteed Rate Bowl? Armed Forces Bowl?
They're all potential sponsors to me, Dan. I've learned my lesson especially on the mortgage front, which I feel like you should have too.
We agree, correct, that the only game that was played in the playoffs, and it was a great one, everything has been pretty terrible except for Mississippi, Georgia.
If you like that kind of game, I get it. Everyone liked that kind of game. I'm not doubting that.
I thought Miami A&M was awesome.
Yeah,
I love that game.
I think that there's been drama. Miami's been approaching their games differently, but I think they've been quality, edge of your seat, game hangs in the balance for a lot of individual possession type of games.
I don't mean to diminish anything other than the entertainment value so far of what these playoff games have been. The Georgia that
game was crazy entertaining.
The Georgia-Mississippi game was insane, and it made me think of the following sports radio question, Zaslow, because Trinidad Chambliss will be the best quarterback that the Hurricanes have faced in 2 years. He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't throw interceptions. He doesn't get sacked. He's an efficiency machine, and I don't believe the SEC has a defense like Miami's. I think the SEC has been exposed as an entire fraud, that Georgia-Mississippi game is being played at a high level, I believe, because it's the best those teams can do. And you think of Georgia as what they were, but Georgia ain't that anymore. Mm-hmm. The SEC is a whole lot of what just happened to Alabama against Indiana. Mm-hmm. It can happen to Texas. The SEC has been exposed, but Miami just dragged the team from the conference that nobody can beat. In terms of big boy football, when I see Mississippi and Georgia play, I see athletes that are very large, but Miami has trenches advantages, both sides. Both sides. You've got first-round picks on those offensive lines and defensive lines. So Ohio State can take away Malachi Toney, and did. And what? They took away Malachi Toney. Couldn't do anything. Okay, here's a whole lot of Fletcher. You can have a whole lot of Fletcher. And Ohio State's not used to losing like that to anybody but Michigan, where they're just trailing all game. They're beaten off the start. And when they were down 14-0,
I was too.
You made up with Zagaki. How have we not talked about this?
Oh, yeah. I had a conversation with Joe Zagaki. I think I made up with Joe Zagaki a couple years ago where I would enter a public event and he would go, Mike. But I've never actually had an opportunity to speak to him as much as I have this most recent time. And what a delightful conversation that was. A good 50 minutes and 6 bold classes of Cabernet. Yeah.
Man, any pausing in the conversation? Any down?
Couple station IDs, left to right on the radio dial. And at one point, he turned to Don Bailey. He's like, "Don, Wake Forest is going to win this ball game."
You guys.
And did they?
You guys, these are two University of Miami legends. Joe Zagaki's on the Mount Rushmore of University of Miami media people. There's no question about this, correct?
Joe Zagaki, Jay Rokeach, who else?
I'm just saying that Mike, for years now, has honored. It's the greatest flattery that we keep Zagaki's voice and name alive here nationally. He doesn't see it this way, obviously. But it is an homage to a Miami legend that we make this kind of fun of him. But Mike has sometimes pulled into a Hurricane tailgate near Joe Zagaki, and maybe there's not eye contact. Maybe it's awkward. Mike doesn't know how he's going to be received because Mike knows the things that he said last week, last month, last year, and for the last 15 years.
Right, because we honor Joe Zagaki, but in a very strange way. We use his voice for a character that's not actually Joe Zagaki. It's a complicated legacy Joe Zagaki, and it's become like a strange conservative voice on our show. And for that, I'd understand if Joe Zagaki took issue with misrepresenting his signature voice. But he seems fine and honored by it.
I don't think it's anything other than actually honoring him. Like
I
no
agree.
one here says that he's not a good broadcaster.
He did make it very clear several times over. He has no idea how to find our show.
He said that?
Yeah, I understand. Remember, this guy moves left to right on your radio dial.
Always has. Far right now.
You know it.
Dan, you know about that rape bowl?
That was with a T.
Rate.
Can we talk about how most Miami fans had an ear-to-ear smile laying in their bed New Year's Day, 2 a.m. in the morning, with the glow of their cell phone radiating off their face.
I was very
all
excited.
cheering on Michael Irvin simulating child abuse, beating the ever-loving shit out of a cooler. I'm watching that, and I'm like, I know what you're doing. Yeah, teach that cooler who is boss.
Like when did whipping with a belt become totally acceptable?
We all know what's happening. We all know what he's channeling, and we're all there like, yeah. You put an
Keep
Ohio
doing it.
State jersey
Yeah.
on top of that
Do
cooler
it.
and beat the out of
But
it.
a lot of times that's B-roll. Sometimes we're not hearing what he's saying. Maybe
Oh.
if you hear him, it's better.
No, when you hear him, it's even more like child abuse, and you're
yeah.
like, go do it.
Oye, just so that we know, so that we're clear, okay? In the most Cuban college football year there has ever been,
Thank God.
this is the most Cuban Miami team there has ever been that Michael Irvin is out here simulating El Pau Pau.
Yeah.
Which the Cuban child will still get.
100%.
El Pau Pau.
And the thing is, I was like, when did hitting a child with a belt become okay?
No.
Stadium, don't come back. Don't. Oh, that's it, baby. The belt to ass. We put belt to ass. We did it every week, and we're going to keep doing it until we land back home in our stadium for the national championship. Next week, same deal. Same bat channel, same bat time. Belt to
Beat the shit out of that ball.
I'll stop saying
Yeah.
belt the
In the
ass.
middle of it, he told a cooler to not come back to that stadium. I love it. I know what it is. I know what it represents. And I know it's dicey. I love it. It's one of the game's greatest traditions now.
Let's go through them.
Yeah, it's Clemson running down the hill.
It's
It's
Dabo-
Iowa players waving at a children's hospital, and it's Michael Irvin beating the out of a Gatorade cooler with your opposing team of jersey of choice on top.
So you're saying the Notre Dame play like champions that
yeah,
they
that's
touch
right.
on the way
Yeah.
out that they've been doing since Nuke Rockney.
Yes.
That you're saying that this now rivals that.
It's on the level.
Overnight, great college football tradition. If you paid attention to the Ole Miss game, and I know you did, the Ole Miss players were doing the BTA celebration, and when they went to accept the Sugar Bowl trophy presented by Allstate, they had belts in their hand. Yeah.
Zazzle, what I was beginning to say is a great sports radio question is the following. If you're Miami, who do you prefer to play? Obviously, you don't want to see Trinidad Chambliss. He is better than Gunnar Stockton. He is a very good quarterback, a bit of a magician, a sorcerer. I say, do you want to play that? No, I don't really want to play that. But your choice was you could have gotten Georgia, a coach so confident that up 2 points from his own 30-yard line on 4th and 5, he runs a double reverse fake punt pass because he's so not scared of consequences in big stages. And also, he might know where Carson Beck's weaknesses are because he coached Carson Beck, and now you're going to have time to prepare for that. If I say Miami, you can choose which of those opponents you get. What is Miami's choice?
I don't want to face Kirby Smart. Like, I don't want Kirby Smart to have 10 days to prepare for Mario Cristobal's Hurricanes. I'd rather go up against Pete Golding, who has only been a head coach. This will now be his third game as head coach, and there's no way to actually quantify this kind of stuff. But you're telling me that Pete Golding is going to go 3-0 as a head coach in his lifetime, and all 3 of those games are in the playoff. It feels like a lot to ask for. It feels like Ole Miss's time is coming to an end.
With no assistance, because like that thing is one of the weirdest things you've ever seen in college football. Lane Kiffin is lending him the assistance, and now they don't know if they're even going to have, 4 to 6 of their assistants?
Well, the running back coach already left.
I think it's Weiss is the only one that's staying.
Yeah.
This is so dirty.
And Weiss was on campus at Baton Rouge hosting transfer portal quarterbacks. Right. In his LSU Tiger
and they didn't even get
polo.
the kid. They didn't even get him.
No, Brendan Sorsby goes to Texas Tech. Tony, your thoughts here?
I was just going to say that with all those things said, it feels like Ole Miss is a bit of a team of destiny, right? It's like the ragtag group, the quarterback that was in D2 last year, the coach that nobody wants that all of a sudden is going to be the quarterback, the coach. It just feels like whatever Ole Miss is doing is working, right? And
it's a good story. It's coming to an end.
Okay, sure. But it feels also like a team of destiny where they'll be playing against Miami, and then the one thing that you can't game plan for is what Trinidad Chambliss does, right? If Kirby Smart game plans against...
I mean, Marcel Reed was a running quarterback, too.
Hold
on. This is not the same thing at all. Look, I would have argued and did argue last couple of weeks ago that Marcel Reed was the most dangerous quarterback Miami had faced this year. And I'm including Carr in there, but Carr doesn't move. He doesn't turn the ball over either, but he doesn't run. What Trinidad Chambliss just did to Georgia felt to me like what I saw Vince Young do years ago as Texas's quarterback. Like, that was just lunacy what he was doing to those athletes on the Georgia defensive line, where I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They can't actually corral him. He doesn't get sacked. Florida sacked him. South Carolina bothered him. But nobody intercepts him, and he plays like that, and he's got receivers who look the part.
And he's gone up against good defensive fronts before. Oklahoma has a very good defensive front, and he won that game, didn't have much of an issue with them. Just real quick on the Kirby Smart thing, I actually think the double reverse, I think this is one of Kirby Smart's best years of coaching. His team was not very good, and they won their second consecutive SEC title. And I think that fake punt in particular was Kirby telling you, we're not good enough on these guys, and I gotta take this chance. But Georgia would have been favored against Miami. Miami is favored against Ole Miss. I think in terms of style of opponent, Ole Miss does a lot of things that should worry you. The 3 quickest quarterbacks in terms of getting the ball out fast: Kevin Jennings of SMU, Miller Moss of Louisville, and number 1, Trinidad Chambliss. I don't need to tell you what those other 2 quarterbacks did against Miami and how those games turned out. And his escapability in the pocket. He's not going to take off and run all that much, but his ability to extend plays and find an open guy with a live arm to do that, I think there's an interesting style for Miami to match up against.
You get to this point in the season, how could you not expect to face a team that's going to present problems for you?
Look, I mean, Miami just shut down a Heisman finalist in Julian Sand, but I think his ability to get the ball out quick, and if Miami gets home, he can be elusive enough to neutralize some of what Miami brings to the table. I think Miami's offense is going to get challenged in this game in ways that they haven't to keep pace early on. Miami hasn't trailed against any of the top 10 teams that they've played. I think they're going to trail in this one, and the offense is going to have to keep pace, and I think they will with the running game until you eventually wear this opponent out. But I was worried about Georgia just because it is very clear Carson Beck is a different quarterback now. And I'm not just playing the results about, like, we're winning and he's not turning the ball over.
Yeah, he plays mistake-free,
He was
man.
fundamentally changed from that Louisville game to the point that he's a game manager now. He's being challenged by opposing defenses to be precise and find holes in the zone, and he's become a short yardage intermediate quarterback. I think he takes like 2 attempts a game deep.
Yeah.
But he is a different guy now, and I think part of that is because he's timid a little bit, and that Louisville game got to his psyche. And you want to talk about the Georgia storyline and Kirby Smart and that whole thing? I didn't want that anywhere near my quarterback.
Neither.
That's the other thing too. Like Kirby can game plan specifically for what Carson Beck does in a way that when you look at the other side of the ball with Trinidad Chambliss, with Ole Miss, you can't game plan for that, right? Like you can try to set the edge, you could try to not get him outside, but when he's Cam Ward last year, where he's just like spinning
That's
out
what
of
it was.
plays,
That's what it
that's
was.
what it is.
What I saw from this quarterback against Georgia reminded me exactly of Cam Ward, where I'm taking 3 of the plays on one drive and I'm sending them to my friends in slow motion so that you can watch just an absurd pro throw on one of them, a ridiculous scramble on another. Like, obviously, he's not Vince Young. He doesn't run like that. He doesn't get sacked. And so if he's getting rid of the ball that quickly, and they don't miss Lane Kiffin, and when you talk about coaching, they were a disaster at the end of the first half. They botched a field goal, a thing you take for granted. One offense running off the field goal team running on, don't have a timeout, you get out there. They botched the whole thing, and you just saw coaching, and it did not matter.
It didn't matter.
Kirby Smart's still trying fake double reverse passes because he's trying to keep up with this quarterback, who is the best player Miami has faced in 2 years.
And they played Mendoza and Cal in those 2 years.
This is not up for dispute, is it?
No, I think he's a tremendous player. I think, to the point about wearing them down, he's about the same height as Cam Ward, but Cam Ward, who got hurt yesterday, has a good 30 pounds on Chambliss. So I don't know how he's going to react to getting hit, but he doesn't get hit. They have a left tackle that hasn't given up a sack in 14 weeks.
So the way that Louisville beat Miami was not just 4 turnovers. It was they came in with the game plan. We have a first-round wide receiver, but we're getting rid of everything in 2 seconds. We're not going to let Ruben Bain ruin this game.
No, they were drop blocking. Like, they were just going straight at Ruben's ankles because they were like, we can't block this guy straight up.
And so if that is what it is that Miami is headed toward, and Mike is talking about the psyche of Carson Beck, like we forget they're kids, okay? I understand that he's played in the hot light for a while, but between 18 and 22, whatever the pressures are on him at Georgia, he came, and in that game they lost because of him. He threw 4 interceptions. He was winging it down the field. He fell in love with what happened against FSU. Those throws weren't there. Louisville made great play after great play, and he was humbled by it and becomes a game manager. But Ohio State stopped Malachi Toney, and what I'm telling you about what Miami has in ways to beat you that's unusual is Mississippi actually has the kicking game advantage here, but you trust all parts of Miami's game. Now, you trust their quarterback is not going to turn the ball over because he hasn't for a long while now and isn't throwing interceptable passes either. It's not like he's making a whole bunch of mistakes. It's just a more conservative offense that's trusting its defense. That's what's happening there. But when you say, Mike, they've led against all the top 10 teams, they've never trailed against them, I'd be curious what it looks like when they trail because he hasn't been in that circumstance, and when he has been, he's lost.
Well, are they going to get rattled? Are they going to get away from the run game if they go down a touchdown? Miami's style, they were blessed to have that midseason hiccup because they learned, like, wait a second, in the ACC, teams are trying to have us play these games that we're doing against Notre Dame, which is like, let's have the same number of possessions and best on best, and we'll operate and we'll execute and we'll do what we have to do to come away against a team that maybe has a little bit more talent than us. But that doesn't fly in the ACC, where teams are like, let's get more possessions, and if you're going to score on one possession and take 7 minutes for it, we're going to score in 2 minutes, and we're going to have your guys in Ruben Bain and Keem Mesidor have to go against tempo, which I'm really worried about. This is the first team that is going to seriously run tempo against Miami. Miami's also learned to have rotation there. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Miami is blessed by what happened earlier this season, but I am worried that if they're going to be remarried to their style, which is, okay, we're going to take 7 minutes to score, you're going to take a minute, and that's going to be a problem.